All right, I'd like to welcome you all to our Working with Portraits webinar designed to support the school annual online yearbook program. Our goal this afternoon will be to focus on functions of the yearbook program associated with student portraits. Specifically, we will be reviewing putting classes sheets, printing off class sheets for other teachers or parents to review and correct, strategies for deleting duplicate images, correcting student names, categorizing students, and using the flow function to create portrait pages. This webinar will be approximately 30 minutes, so let's go ahead and begin. And if you're not already, please make sure your mic is on mute. All right, so once you've logged in, we're going to go to create, we're going to go to our image library. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so now that we're in our image library, we're going to come to our first class here that we're going to look at. And the first thing we want to do is we want to print off a class sheet. To do this, we're going to come up here to the preview button. And if you hover over it, it will say preview the selected categories, image, and a PDF. So when we click on this, another screen will open up, or another tab. Here you're going to see a PDF ready print with the students' images and their names underneath it. Here you can print this off and hand it to the teacher or to an assistant or staff member, whoever it may be, and have them take a look at it, make sure students' names are spelled correctly and they are assigned to the right class and the names are assigned to the right student. So while that's being looked at, we're going to come over here and we're next going to talk about the coverage report. So we're going to click on Create, come down to Coverage Report. Now here in the coverage report, we can see a master list of all the students. And it's in alphabetical order, so you can do it either by last name, by first name, all the grades, by homeroom, by student ID, however you want to organize it. By default, I would suggest leave it as last names. Here you can change names for all the students instead of trying to hunt down what student is in what class. So if you can go in and say, well, John doesn't spell his name with an H, he spells it with an N, so we can fix it right there, and that takes care of it inside the image library. So you don't have to go hunting for this person's photo. You can change it right here in the coverage report, and it changes it globally. Also, one important thing is you can see right here the number of times in book, and we'll go ahead and we'll circle that one. So right here, number of times in book, this will show you how many times their image, if they're tagged, and we'll talk about tagging here in a minute. If their image is tagged, it will show you how many times they're in the book. So if you're a school, and we know there are some schools that try to make sure all students are evenly accounted for in the book. So not one student has their photo in there 13 times, where one student has it just once, and that's their portrait. So should you need to merge any duplicates, here you're going to see some, we have a couple of other people with two different, they're tagged one way in one photo, tagged another way in another one, just like this one right here. This Mandy has a photo where they're selected as a faculty and another one they're not. So to merge it, you can click on this one. We're going to merge this count so these two are together. Also right here, you can see where they're tagged images. You have two of them versus just one. We'll come down here to apply changes. Click OK. And then you have one pair successfully merged. So those two separate ones are now one person. All right, so now that we got our list back for that teacher, we're going to come over here and we're going to talk about what to do next. So after you get that list back, you can go back through it and they may have some suggestions such as the first one, this student doesn't have a name. So let's talk about tagging a student here real quick. So if you have a student that comes in late and has a photo that you taken quickly so that you can get them in the book, or they're got here after makeup day and so you need to quickly put their photo in. So once you upload their photo, and you can do that by clicking the upload, drag and dropping the image right here, come to this blue button right here, or if you click on their name, you can come up here to tag names. Then here we're going to click on add. Then we're going to give this person a name. Okay. First name and last name is required. Grade, ID, homeroom, any of that stuff, you don't have to add, but you can. You can come down here and put 5th grade if you want. You don't have to. You're going to hit save. Done. The image library structures everything alphabetically. So all the images go alphabetically. Next, we're going to look at duplicates. So here we have Diane who has a duplicate image. It may happen, the photographer may have included an additional photo. So what we can do is, one, we can click on this, we can come up to delete. Click this, and are you sure you want to delete? Yes. And then we can delete that one image. That way when we go to another class and come back, that image is gone. Here we have Erica, and another thing you can do is click on the image, come up to tag names, go to details. You'll see use portrait is currently selected. We can click this down arrow right here and we can say don't use portrait. You can do this so that if there's by chance you don't want to delete a photo, or it may be for whatever reason that you need this photo for something else, you can always just say don't use, so the system knows do not use this photo. Next, we're going to talk about moving people. So here we have a student, they say this is a 2nd grader. So we can click and hold this image and we can move this to a 2nd grade classroom. Here we have another student who says it's say 3rd grade. We can click and hold, move it over to a 3rd grade, and we can see the word move right here. That lets us know that we can move this photo. So we just let go of the mouse button and this person is now in the class. Next, we're going to talk about retakes. So you may have a day where you have your original and then you have your retakes. So here we have one student that has a retake. So the parent wants this one, not this one in there. So you can easily click on here, click on this little blue dot, go to details, under use portrait, click on don't use portrait. Apply changes. If you don't hit apply changes and hit done, you'll get this little pop-up right here. So just make sure you apply changes and then hit done, and then you'll see do not use. Now, if there's ever a situation where you have a student that for whatever reasons, legal reasons or privacy reasons, cannot have their image in the yearbook, you can come up to, say, this student right here. You can come up and you can hit that little blue dot or tag names. Come up to details. You'll see use portrait and you'll see use no photo. We'll show you what this looks like when we get to flowing. Apply changes and hit done. Here you will see that says no photo, so the system will use a default no image available. Next, we're going to talk about no photo. So we're going to come down here to our no photo list right here. Now, first we're going to talk about tagging these images, or these no photos right here with the student that may not have a photo. Either they're late getting into the year or just don't have an image at all. So when we click this blue dot, we're going to see that it's already tagged. And you can tell it's tagged because it has this green little tag at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, or of this little picture here. So if we go into edit right here, this little pencil, and we try to change that last to first, and then hit save and done, here you're going to see it says first name. Well, name first, name first, name first. All of these are now named first. So if we were to change this to the missing student, you will see now that all your no photos now say John Moore. To stop this, all we have to do is click this little circle right here with an X. It says remove. And what you're doing is you're breaking the tag. So this photo right here is no longer tagged to these other no photos. We'll come up here and hit add, and we'll give this person a name. All right, we're going to hit save and then done. Now, if you get done with a name right here and it disappears, chances are it didn't disappear. It may have moved down here at the bottom because, again, this image library goes alphabetical. So all you have to do is click and hold the one you did, come up here to the class that needs it, move it in there, and then here we have our no photo. Okay, so next we're going to talk about setting up the flow element, and we're also going to talk about some of the templates that already have a flow element on it. So next we're going to go back to plan, we're going to come back to our page ladder, and we're going to come up to our very first page here. So we do have different designs for the portrait. So if you go to designs, hit down arrow here, come down to portrait, click this down arrow. First one you're going to see is all portraits, and then here you're going to see different styles of templates. If you want templates at certain sizes, that's what these are. This is a 6x7 box. Right here are the number of photos. So if we did like a 31 to 40, or if you have a class that's maybe 25 students, here you go, 21 to 30. To put these templates on here, you're just going to click and hold, drag it over, click yes, we want to retain everything. Then you can find the other side right here, or if you want, you can go to page server, go to candidates, and bring them over if you don't only need that many. So here you can see on this page right here, we have this little box right here with the head and shoulders. This is a flow element. You'll see a dotted yellow line around all of this. And then we'll talk about the difference between this box and this flow element in the next one. Once you have everything, just all you have to do is hit save. So next we're going to talk about just the flow element itself and not using templates. So we go over here to the flow tab located on the left. Here you're going to see these little 6 boxes right here. These are flow elements. Some of these will have the picture with the name on top. Others will have the names to the left or right with the photos. Others will have the photos with the names here on the left of each photo instead of all the names on one side. So we're going to pull this one over here, this more traditional one. And we're going to talk about this flow element right here. Now, the difference between this flow element and these right here on this other page is, look, if you look in the middle on this other page, you're going to see a frame with a mountain and a sun. This is a image frame. This is good for one single image. The flow element right here, this is what's made for portraits. These are what made to have all your portraits right here onto one page all at once, instead of shifting them one at a time and then writing a name one at a time. So once you click on the image flow element here, so once you click on it, you're going to see that a toolbar opens up here at the top. If you click off of it, it goes away. Click on it, it comes back. So here, starting from the left, you're going to see a font. And here's where you can pick a font for the names. So you will see font styles. If you have a style that you have created on your own for names or for whatever it is that you be creative for, it'll be right under here. Next is font size. And if you select a size and you see these red X, it simply means that the text is larger than the box that it's currently in, and all you have to do is just back down the size of the font until that red X goes away. Next, you're going to see color. Now, if you have a dark background, like we do right here, this purple background, and you have black lettering, that's not going to show up. It's not going to look good. So what we're going to do is we're going to select a lighter color so we can have a better contrast. So you can select a different color. There you have a slightly better contrast between the names and the background, so you can see the names a little more clearly. Next, we have a stroke style. So this, you can actually add a border around your images. For something this size, I would say no more larger than 3. And if you want to change the color of the border, you can come over here to where it shows a little box right here, and then you can change the color just like that. Now, a quick reminder that all of this has to be done prior to flowing. Once you flow your images in, you cannot make these changes. You would have to reset your flow, then make the changes, and then flow your images back. So to avoid that, just set your flow element up right here before you flow everything in. Next, you have bold, italic, underline, so you can italic and underline your names right here if you want to. Make them all lowercase letters, uppercase letters, original, trash can to delete everything. Here you have duplicate, so if you want to have this over here, you can duplicate it over here, and we'll talk about switching names, switching this around here in a minute. All right, let's come back over here, and one we skipped over right here, this is your flow options. This one you could probably spend a little more time in. So we're going to click the down arrow, and real quick, you'll see this little push pin in the upper right-hand corner. If you click on that, you can now move it from one side to the other, and it won't be stuck right here. So the first thing I would strongly suggest is to unclick automatic, and the reason why is if you reduce the number of rows, you can see that the boxes start stretching. So if you unclick that and then click the number of rows, you'll see that now the number of rows are being removed. And so now you don't have to try to resize things. So this is the number of rows and number of columns. And if you try to increase the number of columns, you may get a message like this. And this is because it will not let you go outside a blue box right here. So it wants the flow element contained inside the blue box. So to reduce that, if you want them wider, reduce the number of columns, and then You can make them wider. You may have to reduce them a little bit more. And then you can make the boxes a little bit wider if you want to. Here you can also change the height, so you can make them a little bit taller. Here you have spacing. So if you want to space the images out just a little bit more, this helps if you have a smaller class and a lot of page room that maybe you need to fill just a little bit more. So this kind of help to maybe play with the spacing just a little bit, so that small class takes up just that little bit of extra room. Here you have name width, and basically what it just means is it brings the names over here a little bit closer. Really, I would just leave this as the default 10. That way, if you have a long name, it will help fit in this area. Next is the portrait shape. So you can make those boxes into squares, hexagons, trapezoids. You can do whatever. If you leave it on square, here we have a rounded corner. So you can actually round off the corners just a little bit. Next, we're going to talk about name options. So we brought this one over here to this name of the page, but the names are on the left and we want them on the right. So here under here, name position, you'll have names on left horizontal. We can click on this and we can go to names on right horizontal. And once we click on that, the names are now on the right. You can also change them to names above, if names below. So you can always change the names or the name location right here. Next we have, let's do that. So next, the last tab right here, we have expand flow. What this will do is it will actually break up the flow element. So it will make it unable to flow, which means you cannot flow images into it if you break it up. And it'll make it look like this over here. So if you click I understand and hit expand, you will see these now turn into individual image frames. Some will do that. If you do that, try to make sure it's the last thing, simply because once you do that, you can't flow into it anymore. You would have to take every student out of it individually if you have to add a student. So really, I would almost leave that option alone, but it's there if you need to do something different or if there's some reason you need to break it up. All right, so here we're going to talk about flowing and flowing to multiple pages. So we're going to select our category, and we're going to select the class that we had edited here real quick. And then next, so under category, you can select all your classes right here. These are the same ones that are found in the portrait in your image library. Next is name format. Here you can select how the names will be displayed, whether it's first, last, or first, middle, last. We hardly ever have people put their middle names in there. Or whether you want them by last name, then first name. Here you will see the number of images, 38 images, 0 flowed, 38 remaining because we haven't flowed any. Next you'll see start and stop. And now real quick, we'll back up here real quick. This section is very important, and we'll show you why here in a minute. You'll see the start. This is page start, so you want to start on page 6, and you want to stop on page 7 or page 8, 9, 10, whatever it is. I know a lot of people have like a large 5th grade class that they just put, or a large senior class. They want to put all the students in one class. So you stop on whatever page that in the number of students. So here we have 50 available positions right here. We only need 38 of them. So once we're ready, we're going to hit the flow. That's this teal button right here at the bottom. Once we do that, you'll see the images are right over here along with the names. Here you will see the no photo available of the student that couldn't have their image in there. Here you see the no photo for the student that didn't have an image. Now, well, before we move on, we have to reset this flow real quick because we have one person that is out of place. For whatever reason, let's see. So if you have a teacher or an assistant that is showing up somewhere in the middle of the flow right here, and they should be right after the teacher, you can't come over to this little circle with an eye in it. Bring up the same screen we saw in the image library. Come over to details and you'll see type student. If you click down right there, you're going to see that you have teacher, other, assistant, and student. This is a hierarchy. The teacher will always flow first, followed by an assistant, followed by student, and then other. Other would be maybe the therapy animal that your school has, so that would be the other. So we're going to assign assistant. We're going to apply changes, hit done, and then we'll just go to another class, then come back to this class. Then if we scroll back up, we can see that student is now right after the teacher. If we look at the teacher right here, we can see the type is listed as a teacher. So if you want your teachers to flow first, make sure the type says teacher. We're going to come back down here to flow because everything else is set up correctly. Once we hit flow, we're going to see now that we have the teacher first, followed by the assistant, and followed by the rest of the class. Now, you're going to look back over here, and you're going to notice something here real quick. You're going to see that 38 images were flowed. Well, he had 38 images, but only 37 images were flown onto the page, and we have one remaining. It is strongly suggested that you check this after you're done flowing, because we've had instances where a teacher has left off a student, not realizing there wasn't enough boxes. So if you see something like this, we simply hit reset, and then we can bring a box back. These boxes are not gone. These flow elements right here, they're not gone. They're just simply hidden. To bring one back, we're going to double click. And then you'll see in this, there's an eye in this upper right-hand corner. Here it is active. If you click it, it becomes inactive. So we're going to click this other one to bring it back. Then we're going to flow again. And it keeps wanting to do that. So who is being left out? Okay. Well, looks like one keeps being left out. So, but if that's the case, you can always bring that one box back and then reflow, and then the student will flow back in there. For any reason, also a quick tip right here, for any reason you need to edit one of these photos, say a student's head is really close to the edge, you can double click on these and then you'll see a crop button right here. So you can click on that and you can stretch this photo to make it bigger or smaller, or you can adjust it left or right, up, down, whatever you need to do to fix that image. Then just click off of it again, and the image will be fixed. So real quick, also I want to touch on this real quick too. Whenever you make an alteration onto your page right before you get ready to flow, make sure you hit the save button, because sometimes the program doesn't know that you made changes until after you hit save. Also, when you try to flow a class like on here, it may bring up, you may see this page right here. Yes, I know it doesn't have any pages. Just minutes. So when you try to flow, it may give you a portrait flow error until you don't have enough. So just come up here and hit save. By hitting save, it updates, the system updates itself, and then you can go ahead and flow from there. Right. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and open it up to any questions. So if you have any questions pertaining to flowing images, tagging images, setting up the flow, or bringing in any templates with the flow element, go ahead and you can ask questions. Okay, if there's no question, we'll go ahead and do this. I want to thank you all for joining us this afternoon. The demonstration of the functions related to the creation of portrait pages should eliminate some of the trial and errors that occur when working with the yearbook. Printing portrait sheets and editing class data ahead of time should result in better accuracy in some of the most important pages of a book. Feel free to join us for the next time as we look for the creation of activity pages and candid pages. That will actually be in 2 weeks on the 18th or the 20th, whatever one suits your schedule. There we will talk about creating and more about candid and activity pages and actually creating some of those pages. Will be sent a recorded version. Yes, the recorded version will be sent back to you. It will be a YouTube link on our YouTube channel. You can find our previous recorded sessions for other webinars, as well as helpful tech tips. All right, and I want to thank you all very much for joining us today, and look forward to seeing you at our next webinar, which will talk about, again, activity and candid and building those pages. Thank you very much.